when I use console 1, while I'm at the units, I don't feel blind. It removes all feelings of being blind and being different. I'm just working. I'm just into my music. Hi, everyone. I'm Jay, music producer, audio engineer, and accessibility consultant based in the UK. I'm originally from Trinidad in the Caribbean, and I've been into music production for many years, over 20 years. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
When you work, do you work mostly in production and recording, or is it mixing? What is your process like?
It's pretty much everything. As I say, I do everything from recording to mixing and mastering in the studio, right? Working with different artists, both music artists, singers, etc., singer-songwriters, as well as I do a lot of work in the advertising industry, a lot of jingles, and I even do post, film production, ADR, etc. And yeah, pretty much everything that normal producer does, I do.
How did the collaboration between you and Softube start?
Patrick Hellström, I hope I'm pronouncing the Swedish name correctly. But,
yeah.
Patrick and Lorna saw me at ADC. I was doing a presentation, I think it was for Avid Pro Tools, and they reached out to me a few months later saying that, it was always, on your roadmap to do accessibility, and they thought I'd be able to collaborate with Softube to bring this to fruition. So I said, sure, and the best thing that Patrick said to me on that call was, would you like a console 1? To which I said, of course I'd love a console 1, right? And I'll tell you the amazing part about it. So he told me that you all had started some basic implementation of accessibility features. So I remember receiving the console 1 on a Monday, and on the Tuesday, Patrick sent me a build of the console 1 software, and I loaded it up, installed it, and I was amazed at what I saw, right? It did not look like a first draft to me. You all were really far along, right? And I remember Sarah and I saying, but they don't need us, right? They know exactly what they're doing, right? But just to say, to see, the passion that you all went after this with and what you all did, and I remember asking Arvid, when I met him, I said, Arvid, obviously you have experience with accessibility. And he said, no, he said, the only thing he knew about accessibility is from a presentation he saw with me, right? And I just thought to myself, this guy is brilliant, right? Because this behaved in exactly the way that I would like something to behave when it's made accessible. Of course, we spent a few months and we refined things, but to see that as a first draft, that was just mind-blowing to Sarah and myself. Because Sarah works with me a lot in accessibility, she works with companies as well. She acts kind of like as a sighted bridge. So for example, she can see the software and she can see what's going on, but she knows how a blind person thinks. So, a lot of companies hire us both, to work with them from, different point of views. But to see what was done in that first build, Niklas, was truly amazing. And I realized, yeah, this is accessibility at its finest.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you. And I think that to get the details right, we had to work with someone like you to make sure that someone that uses the gear, someone that knows what to expect and, how to use it. So it's been a blessing for us to find you as a producer, as visually impaired, and as a consultant for accessibility features. That's just match made in heaven. So thank you.
Yeah, and what was a match made in heaven too was working along with Arvid on the project. Like as you say, getting the details right. So for example, we would change something. We would say, okay, maybe it should say minus, maybe it shouldn't say minus before the value, and we would just work with it. I'll work with it a couple of days, and Arvid's the thing he said to me most of all doing the whole thing was I would ask something crazy. So could we do this? Could we do this? And he says it could be done, right? There was never, I don't know, oh, it can't be done. oh, maybe it might be, I'm not too sure. And then 5 minutes later, I'll get an email. Jay, I figured it out. We can do it. Right? I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And to work along with somebody like that, I think we spent like 4 months. I think we spent like 4 months actively working, and what we've achieved in that 4 months was amazing. I would get emails from Arvid at 7 o'clock in the morning. Jay, I thought about this. How about if we try this? And I mean, that just puts a smile on your face for the entire day, and just thinking, just wow, oh my goodness, this is amazing, and then I had the opportunity to meet the guys and have dinner, when they came to ADC in November last year. They all took Sarah and myself for a nice dinner, you know and to sit down with these guys, it felt like we knew them forever. Besides the collaboration, we made friends. The friendships are invaluable on so many levels, and I just imagine a relationship with Softube forever, to last forever. Niklas, I haven't met you in person, but I mean, I always enjoy chatting with you, your passion for accessibility, and just as a generally cool guy, it's just so nice, basically. And this is what drives me forward. This is what makes me continue to do what I do, the line of work that I do. And I think it's really a fantastic relationship. And I think that passion is going to reach, it's already reaching visually impaired people. People feel when things are right, when something is done for the right reasons, and I think, after the webinar we did in December, to see how many people have purchased Console One, every week I'm getting emails and phone calls. Do I buy just Console One or Console One and Console One Fader? I say, okay, you can start with Console One. They buy Console One, they would normally contact me for some help setting it up. And then 2 weeks later, Jay, I'm also going to buy the fader. I just ordered the fader, And I mean, the thing is, you guys deserve this, for the work you put into it. A Console One and fader should sit on the desk of every visually impaired producer, as far as I'm concerned.
Is it easier as a visually impaired to be in music production today than when you started?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen things come a long way in all aspects of the industry, especially in the tech area. I've seen more and more equipment become accessible, and this has made my life easier, basically. And I could kind of calculate it on a yearly basis. I was not able to do this last year, but I can do this year. I can do it this year, and it's really amazing, to see what's happening. I think it's the best time to be a visually impaired producer and engineer.
Yeah, what kind of progress do you see from year to year? Is it about editing or mixing or using tools? Or
it's on every level, actually. It's well, yeah, definitely editing now, in Pro Tools and Logic and several other DAWs, in the mixing side, Console One and what it's opened up. In the song design area too, working with different synthesizers, both hardware and software, all the VSTs, AAX plugins, etc. Everything is just growing at an amazing rate, actually. And being able to work with different companies and being able to be a part of that growth is truly amazing.
Where are the biggest challenges in your process with being visually impaired?
Okay, this is a hard question to answer. And I'm really glad to say that it's a hard question to answer, because it means that things are getting, as we said before, things are getting better quickly. So if you asked me this question 1 year ago, it might have been a little bit easier to answer, but I'm gonna go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Softube Console One has taken away a lot of these challenges. So this is why it's hard for me to answer this now. If you asked me this a few months ago, I would say metering and, being able to read my gain reduction meters and that sort of stuff, is pretty challenging. But thanks to you guys, I can't see that anymore, right? So, yeah, so, these are a few of the challenges I do have, but it's getting better all the time. And, I hope this kind of answers the question. But I'm happy to say that, I'm happy to say that the challenges are very few now. And, I hope that this is an encouragement for, more manufacturers to go the way of making their hardware and software accessible, because you guys are definitely changing the game and opening up so many possibilities for visually impaired producers and engineers around the world. So the challenges are not that many, but they are still there.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about metering, because when we designed Cons1 at the beginning, we wanted to make a tool basically where you could mix with your eyes closed, which is
okay, yeah.
we didn't create it per se for visually impaired, but we wanted to have a hands-on tool. But I don't think that we would have thought about having the metering accessible until you told us so. So it was very helpful that you could use it and tell us what to do and how to improve it and so forth, because it's so hard for us to imagine what you as a producer need when you're working with it, and what your what the challenges are and so forth.
What you guys have brought about really is the same efficiency that you have as sighted musicians and producers, meaning that I can read my meters pretty much in the same way that you do. The only difference is you look at it with your eyes and it talks to me. This brings about a level of security, meaning that, it's great to mix, with your ears and listen to what's going on, but you don't want a mix to go out and you still have that nagging feeling. Did the microphone clip? Did the vocal clip? Was something a little bit too loud? I've sent out a lot of mixes like that. I kind of know that, yeah, it sounds good and everything, but I'm still wondering, did something clip? And that's not really a nice feeling, but Console 1 has removed that actually. So I know when something goes out there that it's where it's supposed to be, that the levels are where they're supposed to be. And that is like a game changer. That's a life-altering event for me as a producer, a blind producer and engineer.
Wow.
So that's a big one.
Yeah.
And what you guys did too, Arvid, working with Arvid, we spent a lot of time on getting it right, meaning that it's not too verbose. It doesn't talk too much. It doesn't talk too little. It gives you the information you need quickly when you need it. It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better than that at all.
Exactly. And I think that's the kind of iterations we need to get something that works the way it does. And I mean, you've been extremely helpful. Are there any other, big changes that you think Console 1 maybe kind of brought to the scene with this mode?
Just efficiency, really. I mean, if you ask me to just say it in one word, efficiency, being able to move. I mean, I work in a very high stress environment where I have a lot of deadlines. I'm doing a jingle, then I have an artist waiting to do a mix. I have a recording session, and I have a stressful day. Usually, I mean, I love what I do, and there's nothing else I'd rather do. But it is a high stress environment because I do a lot of work, for a lot of different clients. And being able to work quickly, being able to do something, I think, honestly, I'm really not exaggerating, but I think I've gained at least maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours every day since I started using Console 1, since Console 1 became the center of my studio. I think I've gotten back a couple hours in my day, and I can feel it, at the end of the week. Maybe I got one more thing done that might have taken me a little bit longer because I'm just able to move so quickly. The design, the hardware design is fantastic too. That tactile, being able, okay, let me grab the high shelf. Let me grab the high gain knob. Let me just hold the high gain knob, turn it up. Here's the parallel knob. Everything is just there. Whenever I show Console 1, at any, I do a lot of presentations and lectures and demonstrations at different events. Whenever I show Console 1, the only way I can honestly describe it, I say when I use Console 1, while I'm at the units, I don't feel blind. It removes all feelings of being blind and being different. I'm just working, I'm just into my music. And what I love too is how I can switch the on-screen display off sometimes. So for example, Sometimes you want to mix. I want to hear the music, but I don't need to hear any speech. You know, I don't need to hear exactly what I'm doing with the threshold and the compressor. So one button switches it off, and I'm listening to the music. When I want confirmation, I turn the on-screen display on. I turn on training mode, which is beautifully implemented, and I can find out exactly where I am. So I can say, okay, maybe it's minus 12 dB. Maybe I can probably use a little bit more compression. So because I know it's minus 12 dB, I'm able to have that confirmation. I could say, okay, let me try minus 14. You know, that wasn't possible before, but it brings another level of confidence, another level of security, and this is invaluable to me.
What is the next big challenge that we as software and hardware developers should take on when it comes to accessibility, do you think?
A Softube or manufacturers in general?
In general.
What I want to see touch screens on synthesizers become accessible, and it is doable because, you know, iPhones and iPads, etc., are accessible. So I want to see touch screens become accessible. Also, what I would like to see is maybe like text-to-speech engines built into hardware. So for example, if I was using like a hardware synthesizer on stage, I'd like to maybe have a text-to-speech engine controlled by the touchscreen, but I should be able to maybe route the speech only through my headphones. So for example, it's the speech is not going out to the front of house, but I know exactly what's going on because I'm routing the text-to-speech engine through my headphones. So that's what I would like to see in terms of hardware. I think that'll be the next level, actually.
Yeah, that's a good thing. What do you see any challenges coming up when it comes to software in general?
Challenges.
Or annoyances when it comes to working with production software and so forth.
I think the annoyances. I mean, sad to say, but the annoyances are mainly people and not the technology. I think the technology is there, but for example, for every Softube, you might find 3 other manufacturers saying something like accessibility is not on their roadmap, although that also is changing for the better. But you know, it's there's nothing as heartbreaking as hearing somebody saying something like accessibility is not on our roadmap right now. Maybe in the future. And I don't think now, I mean, I don't think that can be an excuse anymore. You know, you have allocated time and resources. You know, Softube is a perfect example. You've allocated time and resources for a few months, you know, where we worked really hard for a few months, and look at the results, right? I think it's a win-win situation for everybody. But unfortunately, you know, not everybody is as forward thinking as you are. And that is challenging. So I think the challenge is people and not the technology. Actually, you know, everything is possible now, you know, and everything is doable. It may not be that hard. It may be a bit challenging, but what's life without a good challenge, right? What's, you know, so you know, I just think, you know, I think people need to be inspired. At the same time, you can't really go wrong blaming people because sometimes it's a situation that people don't know. You know, they're just unaware, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine to be aware, but be open enough to be made aware, if that makes any sense. You know, and then, you know, it's another thing is the way people view accessibility. Some people go to it from a point of view of maybe doing a good deed, doing what's morally correct. I don't know if I want to call it a good deed. Yes, I appreciate the gesture, but it's business. I mean, so for example, you make console 1 accessible, and that's a great thing you did, but you're opening up another market for more people to buy console 1 who probably would not have been able to buy it, who definitely would not have been able to purchase it before, right? So it's business. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. You know, I've had some situations that I think are just scary. So for example, I saw someone build an app and for visually impaired people, and he did not want to sell the app, right? He worked very hard on it, and he felt that he was doing something wrong by selling the app. And I said, of course you're not doing anything wrong, you know? This is business, you know, you need to be compensated for the work you've done. And I think attitudes like that could have a negative effect. So for example, he was doing this, and then he got a big job, so then of course he would drop it, and it would become dead in the water because one, he has to focus on what's actually bringing in the money, what's paying him. So, but at the same time, his conscience bothered him for absolutely no reason, So he was able to. So he had to drop it, Whereas if he thought, yeah, I'll sell it for a decent price, So people feel, I don't know why, but people tend to feel that, guilty for selling to visually impaired people. I don't want, I want to support you. I want to spend my money on someone who is making their equipment accessible. So it's, a lot of attitudes. And when I do lectures, etc., I try to, change people's point of view, say, yeah, this is business for everybody. Yes, congratulations to you for doing what you think is morally correct and everything, but this is business, because when you make money by selling your equipment, I could make money by doing music production, turning around more music production, and it's a win-win, and I mean, I don't like people to look at me as like special, different. Oh, you're a blind producer. Yes, I'm blind and I'm a producer, but look at me as a producer, work with me, not because I'm blind and because I'm so special, because I'm not. I'm just like anybody else, work with me because hopefully you think I'm a good producer and that's what you want to work with me for. But, sometimes I get tired of you're special, you're different, it's not so cool to see people over fascinated, I'm just doing my job like anyone else. So, that's basically kind of how I look at it. And, I think when you can look at it that way, you could break down the barriers and, between this is a sighted producer, this is a blind producer. And I think, by having the correct tools, like Console One, I think it goes a long way in breaking those barriers down. And I think it's just making a better world all around for us, music producers and engineers. So it's Console One is serving on so many levels, things that we probably haven't even talked about, it's just making a better world for everybody, actually, and I can't say thank you enough for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, and it's, I mean, for us, it's we need to have it as a sustainable business model, basically. And yes, we spent some months last fall to get it right, but we have it now, and we can continue support visually impaired. We can continue to add features because we've done the work. Now it's just about getting everything else right, because there's a lot of steps to be made to get all our plugins fully accessible, but we're getting there.
That's what I'm looking for. That's the next stage, that I'm looking forward to see all the plugins become accessible. You setting yourself up as a leader, in terms of accessibility. And I think as the products become accessible, I think we're in a good position to, because of what you've done with Console One, you've basically developed a loyal customer base in this market already. So I think whatever you come out with now, people would embrace it just because of what you've done with Console One.
Is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't spoken about?
Definitely, I want to express, first of all, my personal congratulations to the team at Softube. People I've met, people I haven't met, you guys are really the best to work with. It's a great day in accessibility. What you've done with Console One is a milestone, and it's really an honor to be part of this journey with you. So congratulations. And this is, first of all, from me personally, and by extension, the global visually impaired community. Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure. It's been a fun journey.
Yeah, thanks. And in a way, it's kind of like the journey has just begun, kind of thing. I believe, that we have a lot more to achieve together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thanks so much, Niklas.
Thank you for listening to this conversation between me, Niklas Odelholm from Softube here in Sweden, and Jason Dasent. If you want more information on Console One and accessibility, please go to our website at softube.com or check out Jason's excellent walkthrough videos that will link in the description below. Thank you.